was terrified of it. I'll be honest. I grew up with my best friend's cousin was a couple years older than us. She was high all the time. She was zany, crazy all the time. And so to me, oh yeah, cannabis is crazy. And once I learned about it, I called my friend one day and I was like, your cousin, yeah, she might have been high, but I think she was bipolar. And she was like, yeah, she just got diagnosed a couple years ago. And I never tried it. My friend never tried it because we had this vision of this really wild person. Yes. And we thought that wild person was cannabis. Right?
The stone vet. I hit the ground running when I'm invading your country. It's still with honor and discipline. Throw my guns like onyx. Dressed in camo with ammo. For every situation I handle. They got us marching.
What's up, guys? Sergeant G here from the Stone Vet USMC. Super excited to be here with you guys, man. We've come to the end of the week, right? It's been a long week, man. This is the long week, man. I mean, everything that's been going on. I mean, life is just long and hectic. But guess what? We're on the downward slide of the year, right? We're starting to hit up all the holidays, starting to get togethers. They're starting to be with family now, you know what I'm saying? Labor Day's already passed, and it's kind of like we're on the downhill slide, man. If you're a government employee, you're about to have a bunch of leave coming up, and you're going to need some time to learn how to relax and enjoy yourself, right? Spending time with family. Thanksgiving's coming up. Veterans Day's coming up. Freaking Christmas, New Year's, all the major holidays are coming up, you know? And so that's one of the biggest things, guys, is trying to learn how do you relax, right? How do you relax during this time, man? I'm super excited this week, man. I've got, like I tell you guys, every week I'm bringing on amazing guests that are huge cannabis advocates that are trying to help break that stigma with myself, man, because you guys always know how adamant I am about cannabis, how great cannabis is, how it helps me deal with my ailments, right? If you serve in the military like myself, we deal with all kinds of stuff, dude. We deal with so much stuff. It's insane with our anxiety, our depression, our PTS, freaking just everything down the line, right? Like I tell people every week, when I went through boot camp, the first thing they did was cut my emotional ties. So I'm no longer emotionally available for anything or anyone. I don't know how to do it anymore. And I'm trying to learn how to do it. So I'm growing my community. I've expanded my community, and people who are teaching me how to do breath works, people who are teaching me how to meditate, people who are teaching me about plant medicine, not just cannabis, but psilocybin and all your essential oils and such like that, because a lot of people don't understand it. The terpenes that are in the cannabis plant are in a lot of the same terpenes that are in your essential oils that you're already diffusing in your home. And I guarantee you got a spouse or a significant other, I guarantee you got a diffuser going off in your house right now as you're listening to this episode, right? Probably the lavender, the eucalyptus, or the cedar or something to help to give you that calming, right? That's the terpenes that are calming you, man. I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Rafa 180. Rafa 180 provides the best medicinal grade CBD that's 100% THC free. Like I tell you guys on a weekly basis, you have to replenish your endocannabinoid system. If you don't believe me, go over to NIH, November India Hotel.gov. That's a government website. It breaks down the endocannabinoid system and tells you how important your endocannabinoid system is for your health, for your regular health, to be a healthy individual. Go check it out, dude. Your endocannabinoid system, the only way you can replenish your endocannabinoid system is what? With cannabis, cannabidiol. You know, you got to have cannabidiol to help replenish your endocannabinoid system. It helps treat all your aches and pains and your freaking discomfort that you have from serving in the military, man. You guys, I know you guys got bad backs, bad shoulders, knees, elbows, hands, feet, you name it, it's bad. It hurts, right? CBD helps. It's an anti-inflammatory, right? If you guys have been watching my Wednesday episodes, 6 weeks, right? Every terpene we've talked about is an anti-inflammatory. So, I mean, understanding how this works is one of the best things, man. If you suck at getting sleep like myself, they have an amazing product called the Sapphire. It's a tincture. It's a liquid tincture that you stick under your tongue. You hold it for about 30 seconds, let it absorb into your bloodstream. And it's not a sleep aid where it's going to help you go to sleep. It's an actual, it calms your mind so you're not thinking about the 95 tasks you got to do tomorrow, because the 90% of us, that's what we think about. Oh, I got to do this. I forgot to do that. I forgot to do that. So we don't sleep because we're thinking about trying to get it done, right? They have the tincture, and they have a pill called Night Ops, created by an Army veteran, right? An Army war vet. He created because he's like, I can't sleep. So he created this pill to be able to help calm the mind. It's not a sleep aid. It's not like your Zoloft or your Ambien where you got to get 18 to 20 hours of sleep. it actually just helps calm your mind down so you're able to get rest. And then whenever the alarm goes off, you're tired because you just didn't get enough sleep, not because of a sleep aid. So it's amazing products, man. So go check out Rafa180.com. That's Romeo Alpha Papa Hotel Alpha 180.com to get all your medicinal grade CBD needs, man. You check out with the Stone Vet USMC, get 15% off your entire purchase. Spend $85 or more, you get free priority shipping to your front door. That's like 2-day shipping, dude. That's just like Amazon. You can't beat that, man. That's super exciting, man. You guys see it, right? You guys see that, right? Winner, Top Marine Corps Podcast 2021, right? And right below that, Chronic Palooza, top podcast for 2022. I'm super excited today, man. I get to bring on an actual doctor on the Stone Vet USMC. She had time out of her busy schedule to say, yeah, I'll come on this Crazy Marines podcast and see what he's got to say. You know, what's going on, Dr. Williams? How you doing today?
Great. I'm happy to be here.
No, I'm super excited, man. Like I said, I seen Tony's always posting videos of you doing these speeches, and I'm like, how can I get this doctor on my show? Like, she is speaking, she's educating people on a daily basis. Like I said, Tony's a great guy. He's doing amazing things in Louisiana for their cannabis program down there. And I told him, I reached out to him. I said, hey, is there any way that I could get this doctor on my show? He's like, yeah, man, she's great, dude. Yeah, let me put a word in for you. Let me put a word. That's how I appreciate it. Sure enough, I've been working with your assistant. They finally get you on the show and stuff like that. You know, as I tell people, I said, we live lives. Busy schedules are busy. It's how can we get this together? You know, and I appreciate you actually having an opportunity to be able to come on the show and help educate my community on plant-based medicine, right? Like, how do we get into this? Like, for yourself, you're an MD. Like, you went to school, you're an MD. You're a medical doctor, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, you spent a lot of time in school. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience so they have an idea of who they're listening to today?
Right. So I appreciate you. So my name is Dr. Bridget Williams. I am a family physician. I spent almost 20 years at the Cleveland Clinic seeing patients there. And really, I had an experience with a patient and really just in general, I got frustrated very early on. I felt that what patients were asking for and what I was delivering wasn't the same. You know, I was doing these 15-minute visits. You got a diagnosis, I give you a pill. You don't like the pill? Guess what? I'm going to give you a different pill. You got side effects? I got one more pill for you, right? Yes, and so patients were frustrated. I was frustrated. And so I had one patient. I started actually working with patients to get them off of medications.
Oh, okay.
And I was throwing them in on my lunch hour at the very end of the day, spending more time with them. One of these patients was a breast cancer survivor. She had just finished her treatment and was a new diabetic. And she started asking me about cannabis. And I thought she was crazy. This was almost 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I'll look it up and, let her know that that's a waste of time. And was shocked even then to see a lot of medicinal information, right?
Right.
So I had a lot of faith in her. I helped her in her journey. I learned about dosing and titration and how best to use it. She was making edibles and smoking. And I saw her health transform. She was losing weight. Her blood sugars were getting better. She was sleeping better. Her work performance was better. So that is what propelled me into the cannabis space.
That's crazy. And that was what, 50, you said 15 years ago?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, just to see where it's at, right? Just to see where the market is at now, from then to now, right? How dramatically it has changed. And like you said, as a doctor, you're like, oh, I got a pill for that. I got a pill for that. Right. And a lot of my audience that listens in on the show, a lot of them, I mean, you could talk to veterans on a daily basis, man. They're taking anywhere between 10 to 15 to 30 to 40 pills, right? And it's like you said, oh, you got a side effect? I got a pill for that. You got a side effect? I got a pill for that, right? And you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand, right? Everybody knows 22 veterans take their life every day, right? Here in Oklahoma, we're up to 27 veterans a day, right? But nobody ever talks about the opioid pandemic that's going on, right? How many veterans are losing their life? I want to say the last time I saw it was 35 veterans are dying from an opioid overdose.
Yes.
Because it's given to us, right? Like you said, the doctor, oh, hey, I got a pill for that. I got a pill for that. Oh, you got side effects? I got a pill for that too.
Yeah.
Here's another pill, you know? And for the veteran community, a lot of us, you know, like I said, we deal with aches and pains, anxiety, depression, this, that, and the other. And we just, you know what I'm saying? We're like, screw it. I remember when I got out of the Marine Corps back in 2009, they had given me, I think it was like Flexerals, or they gave me some type of muscle relaxer when I first got out, and I was popping those things every 3 hours, like M&Ms. And I told the doctor, I said, you got to get me off these. I'm eating these. I'm going through a bottle a week, a bottle every week and a half, you know? And it's a 30-day supply, you know what I'm saying? And I'm popping them. And all it says on there, take as needed. And I was like, well, I think I need it. You know what I'm saying? You know? It's scary, man. And a lot of my audience, man, because like I said, this is around the world. I'm not just in the U.S. People listening in around the world, and a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing is understanding. Like you said, this lady came to you, one of your patients came to you and said, "What do you know about cannabis?" 15 years ago. 15 years ago, right? Yeah. When it was still a big old ban, right? Not like today where there's 38 states where they have cannabis legalized. Like then they probably only had 15 years ago. I mean, there's probably one, maybe 2 states. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple states and you know, out west mainly, right?
Yeah, out west. Yeah.
So it was kind of like, what is that? Like,
what is that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I looked into it, and I was terrified of it, I'll be honest. I grew up with my best friend's cousin was a couple years older than us. She was high all the time. She was zany, crazy all the time. And so to me, cannabis is crazy. And once I learned about it, I called my friend one day and I was like, your cousin, she might have been high, but I think she was bipolar. And she was like, she just got diagnosed a couple years ago. And I never tried it. My friend never tried it because we had this vision of this really wild person.
Yes.
And we thought that wild person was cannabis.
Right?
Cannabis was actually calming her down. And she was this teenage girl that was self-medicating. Like, you know, she was trying to make it. And so it changed that, you know, along with everything else, how I looked at it completely changed.
No, you're absolutely right, man. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my audience, right? A lot of us, man, we smoked weed when we were younger, right? But we were smoking weed for recreational. We weren't smoking it for any medicinal purpose. We were just smoking it just to have fun. That's the only reason we smoked it now. But now, like myself, you know what I'm saying, pushing 40 now and understanding, dude, like this is one of the things I tell my audience, right? Is that you have got to understand the terpene profiles in the plant. Like you have got to know these terpenes. You have got to know them inside and out, right? I tell people, say if you're going to start consuming cannabis, you need to journal the cannabis that you're using, right? What's the name of the strain? What type of terpenes did it have in it? And how did it make you feel, right? Because if you're blessed enough to go to a dispensary and they don't have that flower no more, now you know what terpenes made you feel good. Or you know what terpenes made you feel like crap, made your anxiety go through the roof, and you were just like, that was not good. That was a horrible high. Like my anxiety was crazy and whatever, you know. And so this is why I tell people is that you have got to journal. And like you said, she was self-medicating, right? And now understanding it, like myself understanding it, that's what I do. My kids have an understanding, right? Oh, dad's gonna go medicate. He's gonna medicate. I was just talking to my wife earlier, and we're not drinkers. We don't drink, right? We don't really keep alcohol in the house. I might keep a beer or two for barbecue sauce or stuff like that, right? But we don't, and we use alcohol for like our cleaning to clean stuff with, you know. And one of the things we were talking about, we're like, it's funny because like for us, like our kids have never seen us drink. We don't do that stuff, right? And I said for us, we treat alcohol the way people treat cannabis in their homes. We don't talk about that. We don't go out drinking. We don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep weed around. We'll keep weed and we'll keep that around. We'll roll a blunt in front of them and they know, hey, this is medicine, right? They know it's medicine, right? But I was like, the way people act towards weed is the way we act towards alcohol, right? Yeah. And I tell people, they're like, well, why don't you drink? I said, because I like to wake up the next day feeling good. I don't want to be hungover. Right. I like to, if I get so high that I pass out, when I wake up, I'm going to roll me another joint and just chill, dude. Like, I'm not going to be hungover. I'm not going to be like, this feels like crap. I feel like crap, you know? Because people...
No, I mean, alcohol is a poison. It's a poison.
Is, yeah. You're poisoning yourself.
Yeah. So, and the addiction rate and how it ruins lives. You
Yes.
can't say that about cannabis, you know?
Right. No, absolutely, absolutely. And then my community, right? We're veterans, dude. That's all we do is drink, right? That's all we
Mhm.
do is drink. I mean, I drank when I was in when I was in the Marine Corps. Every weekend, that's what we did. We drank every week, and we drink a case of beer
Mhm.
every night. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Sometimes there are guys that are drinking cases of beers every night. I'd wait till
Mhm.
Friday night. I drink a case of beer Friday night. I drink a case of beer Saturday night. You know?
Mhm.
But that's the only thing we could do. I mean, that's the
Mhm.
only thing we're able to do, right? I couldn't go roll a blunt and just chill,
Mhm.
right? Which would have been great, you know, like Canada, how Canada's doing, how those guys can do it, you know, it'd be great for our service members
Right.
to actually get an understanding and helping educate this stuff, you know. And so, I mean, for you as a doctor, I mean, from 15 years ago to today, right? I'm sure you're seeing a huge transition, right? You said that's your biggest goal right now is to help get people off the pills, correct?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so even what we know has grown, the acceptance, the stigma bothers me a lot. And
Yes.
so a lot of the reason why I've gotten to the space where I am educating and talking about it is because I realize the stigma is what really holds people back. It's the
Right.
stereotype, the
Hmm.
stigma. And here's an
Right.
excellent medication that people should be utilizing. And they're using medicines that are ripping up their liver and their
Hmm.
stomach and their kidneys, and or people that I find choose to live in pain because they
Right.
don't want to do opioids because of what it's done to our communities. You know, they're afraid of any of the prescriptions that, you know, their physician might prescribe, and Tylenol and Motrin isn't doing it.
Right.
So they choose to live in pain, and here's an excellent option for them, but they
Right.
don't use it because out of fear and because of the stigma. And so if I'm able to open up or change how people look at cannabis in any way, then I want to be a part of that. You know,
No.
I want to
Yeah.
be a part of that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's the biggest thing, right? That's what I tell people is like the government gave such a huge stigma on this, right? Like me growing up, the Dare program was huge, right? And everybody was like, you know, I just had Pablo not too long ago, the 1620 Marine, and he's like, dude, he said I grew up during the Dare era, right? The government was pushing Dare, and he said I thought cannabis was as bad as crack cocaine. And I said, that's
Mm-hmm.
the stigma they gave it. That's the stigma they gave is that cannabis is as bad as crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
It's heroin, right? That's why they classify it as a Schedule One drug because they say it's as bad as that. And I'm like, it's a freaking plant. It's a plant you grow outside. Like it's not crack
Right.
cocaine. It's not heroin. It's not meth. That's man-made crap. You know, it's a plant. You know,
Yeah.
and that's one of the biggest things, right? And that's the struggle, right? I mean, with you as a doctor, me as a podcaster, is reaching as many people as we can to help break that stigma and say, hey, have you considered looking into plant-based medicines?
Period. Not even just cannabis.
Yeah, not
Period.
even cannabis, just plant-based medicines,
Yeah.
period, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I tell people. I said, thousands of years ago, those Egyptians that were building those freaking ginormous pyramids, they didn't go to the pharmacy to get a freaking muscle relaxer. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you their backs were hurting, their feet were hurting, their arms were hurting, trying to haul those big old bricks up there, right? They used plant-based medicine to help treat what they were hurting from, you know? And I was like, this is thousands of years. People have been using plant-based. I look at Native Americans here in America. They use plants to help
100%.
treat different things that they're dealing with, right? I mean, there's even pharmaceuticals. Like if you look at some of the pharmaceuticals, they have it. Like was it? I want to say it was Tamiflu. It's got elderberry in it. Elderberry is one of its main ingredients, which is
Yeah.
a flu fighter, right?
Yeah.
It's a flu,
Absolutely.
you know. And it's tough, right? Because now you're wanting to change the way people have been thinking for so long, right? Like in our,
But I think people are ready. I
yes,
think
no,
people are ready.
absolutely,
People are leaving traditional medicine in
yeah. Mm-hmm.
droves. 40% of Americans are asking and looking for some sort of alternative medical option.
Right.
We have an herbalist that works with us.
Oh
So
wow.
after, you know, and I don't abandon traditional medicine
No,
entirely.
no, not
You
at
know what
all.
I'm saying? But I look at the traditional aspect. I advise and provide options in the cannabis aspect. And when I think, okay, this person needs some, like there's something missing, I send them to our herbalist, who's also a chemist. So she hasn't abandoned,
Right.
And so she then works on the diet and then works on, the balance in their life and what else they could be taking in to actually balance out their life. And I've seen incredible improvements, antioxidant diets for my cancer patients, and really elevating terpene focused diets.
No,
and
absolutely.
for some of my patients that have more anxiety and depression. So there's definitely a way of, we have to get away from these heavy sugar, heavy fat diets,
right,
that are really destroying our bodies and our minds. And the more we can pour ourselves into some of the natural aspects of botanical medicine and living, the better we are. 100%.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things, right? A lot of people don't know, right? In our country, right, we have some of the worst food in our country, the way it's processed and everything else. Like if you went overseas, right, you went across the pond, a lot of the food that's here in America, they don't have it over there. They have a whole different makeup. It's made completely different because they're not allowing all the preservatives and everything that we stick in the food, right? And that's one of the, like you said, high fats, high carbs, high sugars. Everything's got sugar and all this other bad stuff that we don't need to be taking, right? And that's what I tell people. People, people always like, you think you get cancer? I was like, it's not if you will get cancer, it's when you will get cancer. I said, because as much crap as we ingest, as much as we eat, and if we're not working out, if we're not taking care of ourselves, taking care of our bodies, it's just a matter of time before something because every time I go to the doctor, they're like, are you allergic to anything? I was like, not yet. But I said, it's just a matter of time before my body rejects something, right? And you being a doctor, I mean, you have a better understanding about that, right? Because one day I'm not allergic to amoxicillin, and then the next day I take it and I'm allergic to it now. And you're like, what happened, And it's just whatever it is, And this is one of the things that I want the audience to have an understanding, right? There's a time and place for Western medicine. There's a time and a place for it, right? There's absolutely, we don't abandon it, right? But in our home ourselves, right, we do steer more towards the Eastern medicine, the natural remedies and stuff. Like during flu season, we dose up on elderberry and yarrow and black walnut and different ailments, right, that help treat things that we deal with, right? And a lot of people, that's one of the biggest struggles, I think, is that the educational piece, right? Educating people, and you yourself, you go to a lot of places and help educate the community, isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I end up traveling quite a bit to different conferences, what have you, to try to meet the people where they are. And the biggest struggle that I see is that even with the education, it is easier to pick up fast food. It's easier to take a pill than it is to find the right botanicals, to have the education. You can have the education, but then to put it into action, that's where it gets hard. We're in a fast food, fast information culture. Right. And so when it's time to say, listen, I'm going to go to the grocery store, or I'm going to go to the farmer's market, and I'm going to find these things and make them a part of my diet and a part of my experience, that's where it gets difficult, right?
Right. No,
so what we have to do is try, and I get it, like we've become a very fast, society.
Yes.
So any ways that we can find ways to incorporate any of this in easier ways to consume is what I'm searching for as well. Like we've recently added a cannabinoid pill to our CBD line. Oh, wow. That's filled with CBGA and CBG and CBDA and CBD and zinc and B vitamins. And the purpose is to support your immune system.
Right.
And so it's an easy way to get in some of the cannabinoids. And if you're not a cannabis user, it's a way to get some of this in and support your endocannabinoid system and support your immune system. And that's the magic of cannabis. There's a million ways to get this into your system, whether the terpenes directly, or it's through cannabis, or it's through, the different ways it can be processed into gummies and pills. And you don't have to smoke. No, there's so many ways to strengthen your immune system. And so the excuse of I don't like to smoke or I don't like there's another way. Yes. There's always another way.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. Right. And that's one of the things. That's why I said it earlier at the beginning of the show. I was like, you guys don't understand how important your endocannabinoid system is for your health, right? For your immune system. And you being a doctor, I'm sure you've studied it. I'm sure you've read over it and gone through it, right? Like you said, 15 years ago, you didn't realize that the studies that were already done on cannabis in regards to how cannabis does help, right? That was 15 years ago. There's been so many studies since then showing even more medicinal benefits of cannabis, right? I tell people, I say cannabis is not the end all be all of all medicine, but it helps treat a lot of things. There's a lot of things, you know. My father-in-law came over a couple months ago, you know, and he opened up his hand. He had like 5 pills in there. I said, "What's this for?" He's like, "Well, this is for this. This is for this. This is for this. This is for this." I said, he's like, "It was like 5 pills in there," and I was like, "You know, if you smoked a blunt, I could take 4 of those pills away. You'd be good. You'd be good. You only take 1 pill a day." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, man. You smoke a blunt. You smoke like 2 blunts a day. You can get all 4 of those pills today."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt. How did he react to that?
He was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "The endocannabinoid." I said, I said this here because like one was like high blood pressure. I was like, "Dude, you take CBD. CBD is going to regulate your blood pressure." You know, that's one of the things we tell people who get on CBD is that if you're taking CBD, monitor your blood pressure before you take your blood pressure medication. I said, because if you take CBD and then you take your blood pressure medicine is going to make you bottom out because your blood pressure medicine lowers your blood pressure. CBD regulates your blood pressure. You know, I said, you'll bottom out. And we've had people come to us like, that made me feel like crap. I said, "Did you take your pill after you took your CBD?" Yeah.
Right.
That's why.
So I highly recommend that when you get into a regimen with CBD or, you know, THC, cannabis, what have you, you know, give yourself some time and get your labs checked again.
Right,
you know,
right. Yeah,
your
absolutely.
Blood thinners, stay on top of your blood thinners because it can have a really strong effect as far as thinning out your blood some more. If you're, you know, watch when you're taking Motrin, watch your cardiac medications, including your blood pressure medications. You know, overall, the majority of people don't use enough cannabis or CBD to make a huge effect.
Right.
But some things are more sensitive than others, and everybody's a little bit different. So check your cholesterol level. You know, I worked, you know, I only worked with the cannabis with that one patient, but I was helping patients get off of their medications, right?
Right.
And when you're using cannabis in particular, it can help change things so that eventually you can get off of medication. Like I spent a lot of time helping people get off meds.
Right.
You might not need all those pills after a while, but this is the caveat. A lot of people, once they start using cannabis, they want to use it the way they want to use it.
Yeah.
Leisurely. If you're using it to replace medications, you're going to have to use it regularly.
Regularly, yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely, right? Because I mean, you understanding how it is, we'll get patients in and they'll be taking CBD and they'll take it and they'll be like, "This is working great," and then they'll just stop taking it because they're like, "Oh, I'm not hurting anymore." And then after a while, they're like, "I'm starting to hurt again. Like, why am I hurting?" I said, "You stopped taking your oil?" "Yeah." "That's why you're hurting again, because you stopped taking your oil." I said, you're saying you have got to continue using it on a regular basis. Like you are replenishing your system, right? You are it's like the people who take antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications. You have a time that you take it every day, and you know if you miss it, you know how bad of a day it's going to be, right? Because your body has been so used to taking it at that time every day, right? Even if you are a couple hours late, your body's going to tell you, "I feel like crap," like you missed your pill, you know? And so the same, like you're saying, the same thing with cannabis. You have got to be, if you are using this to replenish to replenish the pills that you were taking, then yes, absolutely, you have got to keep it on a regular basis of when you're using it, right? Because for me it was literally a life changer when I started using cannabis again, right? Everybody, I was like I was able to regulate. People don't understand, right? People think if you smoke weed, all you're gonna do is freaking veg out and watch TV all day, right? I'm like, no, dude. I said, I got fitness models who work out. They smoke before they go work out. I got people who go work in the garden. They mow the yard. They smoke a blunt and go mow the yard. They're active on it, right? Because they know what strains work for them. They know how the strain works. They know their terpenes and what will give them the motivation to keep going, right? I said, for me, I would go to work high so I could focus on my job. That means my body wasn't hurting. I was able to mentally focus and be able to pay attention to what was right in front of me and be able to do my job without any distractions around me, right? And a lot of people, oh, no. I was like, you've got to understand. This is why I tell you guys that you have got to understand how the terpenes work. Every terpene has its own makeup. Every terpene treats everybody differently, right? And if once you have an understanding of how the terpenes work, you're gonna be like, oh, this is amazing medicine. Like, this is helping me. I'm able to get up and walk around. I'm able to talk and not be anxious. My anxiety's not going crazy. My depression ain't going crazy. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself, you know?
So a big thing that I really push with people is, you know, when I do the follow-ups, are you more active in your life? That is because if you're like, actually, I'm doing less, then we need to rethink this whole thing, right?
Right.
Because you should be more active in your life when you're using cannabis. That's my goal. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I'm very clear about with patients, are you using cannabis or is cannabis using you?
Right.
And if you're not quite sure what the answer is, because people can develop a bad relationship and they use that as a way to escape from life instead of getting them back into life.
Right.
And if you're using it for an escape, then we again have to rethink this whole thing all over again, because that's not the point of it. It's actually to help you get back into living and back into being active, helping you decrease your pain, helping you relax and sleep when you need to relax, but keep you actually motivated.
Right.
No, absolutely. Some of the most famous people were creative people, have been regular cannabis users that fueled humongous companies. Right. And so the idea that it's going to slow you down and make you lazy, that's a part of the stereotype. It's not a part of the reality.
It is. It's absolutely right. That is part of the stereotype. And you guys listening in, this is a doctor telling you this. A doctor. She went and got her MD. Like, she's a doctor. She knows what she's talking about, right? She's not like I just had Brittany on my show not too long ago, and she owns a White Rabbit, and she's in the process of getting her master's and getting her doctorate as well, like you as an MD. And she's actually got a research study going on with the University of Oklahoma here in regards to plant-based medicines and how it works, right? But that's one of the biggest things, guys, is like the doctor was saying, is weed taking over for you? Like, weed is supposed to help you get back into life, right? And so, like what Brittany was saying, what Pablo over at 1620 Marine, what they were saying, you know, they use meditation. One of the biggest things is learning how to use breath works, how to use meditation. I had Trey Gee not too long ago, the owner of Bloom Cannabis here in Oklahoma. He talks about, he's like, I can meditate and get to the point of meditation as to the same high as psilocybin. I said, well, are you kidding me? He's like, no, dude. He said, because what it is, he's like, it's a different part of your mind, right? And even Brittany tells you, she's like, your body carries DMT. And when you can actually get the breath works going correctly and can actually get into the meditation, your body will release a little bit of the DMT so you can get in there and start rewiring your brain, right? A lot of people don't understand, like with psilocybin, the studies that have been out in regards to psilocybin, right? One of the things that I tell people, right, in boot camp, they severed that emotional tie, right? Because they tell you, if you become emotionally connected, you're going to die. So what do? They remove that emotional connection so that you're able to go to war and not have to worry about being emotionally connected to anything, right? But when you get out of service, you're not emotionally connected, and now you have struggles with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, right, and your friends, right? Because you don't know how to be emotionally available for them, right? But understanding how psilocybin works, like what Brittany was said in the last episode with White Rabbit, she's like, it's like, if you think about it, when you take psilocybin, it's like a new layer of snow being put down on the slopes, right? There's no more divots. Your body ain't going back into that divot. It's a fresh sheet of snow. So you get to rewire. Your brain's rewiring itself so that you can start doing these things again, right? Start being emotionally available. But that's one of the biggest things that she teaches is breath works and meditation, right? And her being a veteran as well, I like bringing vets on that are doing this stuff because why? Because my community can relate more to them, right? Because they're a veteran as well. They've been through some of the same crap that I've been through, right? You know, and so that's one of the biggest things, like you're saying, is like you should be active. Like we need to figure out what you're smoking and figure out how do we make it to where are you smoking an indica that's going to put you down a little bit? You smoking a sativa, raising your anxiety a little bit? Or are you getting you a hybrid, right? Or how are you blending it, right? And that's what I tell people. I said, when you're able to blend a good CBD flower and a good THC flower together, it's euphoric. It honestly, it is euphoric. You know, I was like, you feel like a kid again.
I just shared that with a patient last night, and they're very active in the cannabis space, and that no one has ever shared that concept with them before, because they're like, I just want to lower all the THC. There needs to be lower THC options, and I was like, well, probably the best way to do it is get your favorite flower and get some ACDC or a good
some
CBD
Harlequin
flower,
right?
Then create the combination that's right for you.
Right.
Never thought about it.
Thought about it.
So
right?
those are the things, right, and those are the things that besides looking at the medications and really understanding the mechanics of different medical conditions, it's also, and then having the understanding of cannabis on top of it, that's like the combination that I bring to patients, right?
Right.
That I really say, these medications you need to keep on board, or these are the ones that we can actually start weaning off of. Right. But let's get the combination for cannabis on board first, and then start working at getting you away from these meds that honestly, they just start to pile up after a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why were you ever on it in the first place? And so, but it's a process, and patients have to be ready to take that time.
We would like to give a huge thanks to Rafa 180. Rafa 180 offers pure medicinal CBD and products made locally. They walk alongside individuals to achieve a healthy lifestyle with options needed by each person. You can learn more about them on Facebook at Rafa CBD, their website www.rafa180.com, or email at rafacbd@gmail.com. They truly believe your journey matters.
Oh, absolutely. Right. It takes patience to understand it, right? It's not going to be an overnight thing. You have to incorporate it, and you have to see, how is it working for me? And this is one of the things I tell people whenever they go over to my sponsor, Rafa. I tell people, I say, look, is it hard to figure out what CBD to get on? Yeah, it is, because there's so many different milligrams of CBD, right? There's so many different types, and there's so many different milligrams. It's like, which one do I get on? What do I do? And that's what I love about my sponsor, because she will actually hold your hand and sit down with you and find out why you want to take it. What are you dealing with? And say, listening from what you told me, this is where I recommend we start. Let's start here. And just like a doctor, right? What does a doctor say when you give them a new medication? Try it for a couple of weeks. Come back, let me know how you're feeling. Maybe we may need to change it, or maybe we can we leave you where you're at, or maybe if we need to change it and give you something else, right? And so
I'm as frugal as you can. And you have bought something, I'm going to figure out, I'm not going to waste your money. How we, even if it's not working for you that well, I'm like, okay, we can add this in. Yeah. And the two of these together might work. But once you're done with that, then, because I hate for people to waste their money.
No, absolutely. It's expensive.
I want them, if we can utilize it, then let's utilize it. It's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's expensive.
But yeah, I tend to be very.
No, and that's what we do. Like, we'll tell them, like, just keep it for, if you get a burn, put it on your burn, or if you get a cut or a scrape, put on your cut and scrape, or a bug bite or something. Just put it. I mean, don't waste the oil, right? It's expensive. You just spend a lot of money, right? But it can help treat a lot of other things still. Just because it wasn't helping treat your mind the way you thought it would, you can still keep it and use it, And so that's one of the biggest things, is that it's like you said, like, you cannot expect it to work overnight, right? You have to incorporate it. If this is something that you're wanting to do and you're wanting to try, you have to incorporate it into your daily routine and see how it's making you feel, right? Because I can tell people, I say, you got your indicas, you got your sativas, you got your hybrids, right? And like I was saying before, like when I started learning it, right, I like the head shift. I like to be high. So I would use more THC flower than CBD flower. But there's one time I told my buddy of mine, he's passed away now. He was a veteran as well. He's passed away, and I told him, I said, I found it, man. He said, what? I said, the perfect blend. I don't know how much of each I used. I don't even remember the strains I had used, but it was the perfect blend of CBD flower to THC flower, you know? And I was like, I felt like a kid. I felt like a kid. I was happy. I was running and just playing, and like nothing hurt. I was no worries at all, right? And before he passed, he came to me because he was moving back home to Oregon, and he was like, I found it. I said, what'd you find? He said, the perfect blend. I said, it's amazing, ain't it? He's like, absolutely amazing. I said, it is, dude. But I said, that's the thing, is understanding how medicine works. How does this medicine work, right? I mean, it's hard. I mean, you can't just go to Dr. Williams. Hey, Dr. Williams, what do you recommend for this? Well, I can tell you what I think you should try, but I mean, honestly, everybody's chemical makeup is different. I say start here. To play with it a little bit and see what works best, you know, because I mean, when you're trying to find because I mean, there's so many different strains of flower, right? There's so many different strains of cannabis flower. There's so many different strains of CBD flower. I talked to a gentleman, I don't remember where he was from, and I asked him, I said, have you considered using CBD flower? He said, CBD flower here tastes like crap. It tastes like hay. I'm like, that's bad CBD flower, dude. Where you get your CBD flower from, dude? That's nasty. Like, I got some CBD flower here that will blow some of the regular THC flower off the shelf, dude. Like, I was like, no, I said the CBD flower here is tasty, you know? And so, but it is. I mean, it's one of the things. I mean, like you're saying, like a lot of people are like, I don't want to be high. Well, you know, like you said, try your Harlequin, try your Harley Sue, you know, ACDC. There's different blends that are like 1-to-1s, you know? And like you said, if you don't like to smoke, there are edibles out there that are 1-to-1 edibles, you know what I'm saying? 1 THC, 1 CBD, you know what I'm saying? And it'll keep you balanced out to where you're not so high. You're like, you don't know what's going on, you know, but you'll be able to, it balances you out, right? Because it's, the way CBD and THC work together is just harmony, you know? And I mean, Dr. Williams will be able to tell you, man, when you combine CBD and THC together, what it does to your endocannabinoid system, I mean, it's phenomenal.
Well, keep in mind that the original plants were much more balanced
than
what we have created.
Yes.
What you're seeing on shelves is agricultural science. And no, not to bash that, like we've done it throughout history. You know, corn doesn't look like the corn we eat. You know, the original watermelon, most of our fruits and we've played around. The agricultural science is amazing.
Right.
And so cannabis is no different from that. The original plant was much, much more balanced between CBD and THC. But we've played around, you know, we've made our own versions, you know, 700 times over. I think there's at this point like 700 strains.
Right.
And do we need more of those CBD THC balances? We do. We don't have enough of them available so that we have more variety. And I would love to see strains where the terpenes are kicked on high gear. Really high gear terpenes. That also means it's going to be heavily fragrant.
Right.
So some people don't like that, right?
Right.
You know, but if you're talking about what's most medicinal, I think there's some things that we could still do that would be different from what you're finding now and be really beneficial for people.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, I mean, the cannabis flower, that's what they make it. They make it to be as high THC as possible. That's what they want. They want to see if they can get the highest THC. They want to be the highest THC in the state or whatever, you know. But could we get more like the Harlequins, the ACDCs? Yeah, man. I mean, if we could throw strains that are evenly balanced, just the medicine itself. I mean, like you said, it'd be real pungent, right? It'd be real pungent, just real, you know. But if there was a farmer out there that was willing to be able to crossbreed, you know, a good CBD flower with a good THC flower and get the terpenes up high on it, man, you can only imagine, you know, be like, wow, this is amazing. Like I feel good taking this, you know, and that's one of the biggest things, right? That's the biggest thing, is trying to help break that stigma, right? I mean, with you, with what you're doing now, I mean, you're traveling all over the place and you're seeing patients on a regular basis, right?
Absolutely. So, anytime I'm doing talks, I definitely get that collection of people that were looking for that consult to be able to kind of talk about themselves or their parents or their children that and questioning whether cannabis is the right option for them. But back in my home state, we definitely I'm seeing patients on a regular basis with all sorts of conditions, and regardless of what our conditions are listed, most people still want a lot of help with their anxiety and their sleep, and of course always pain, right?
Always.
And energy, I would say as well. Like those and those, the pain is obviously on the list, but the sleep and the anxiety and the energy are not on the menu.
Right.
Those are the things that people probably ask me about the most. And really, people want to feel balanced again.
Right.
And it's creating that balance that can be really difficult. But it also means, as we started talking originally, it's reaching not just for cannabis, but reaching outside of cannabis and looking at lifestyle and botanicals and diet and doing the hard work.
Right.
It's about doing the hard work.
No, absolutely. And it's like people who go to the gym, right? You see these guys and you're like, these guys be meal prepping on Sundays and getting all their stuff ready. And you're just like, how do you do it? Like, how do you spend 4 hours in the kitchen prepping your meals for the whole week? Like, and
they feel amazing.
They do. They feel amazing. They get up like me. I get up every morning. I'm up by 5 a.m. to get to the gym so I can work out a little bit before I go to work. Right. But I'm like, I got to the point now. I was like, I'm not losing any weight. I'm not, but I'm up, right? I feel good because I'm getting up earlier before everybody else. I'm getting to the gym. I'm getting a little bit of exercise in, getting my body moving, my blood flowing, right? My muscles are exercising. They're working, right? I don't meal prep. I should, but I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I usually grab some leftovers from the night before and take that for lunch or whatever, but a lot of these guys that are working out, they'll eat 7 to 10 times a day. And I'm like, how do you eat so much, right? But their metabolism is through the roof, right? Why? Because they're eating all day long. And so they are losing the weight. They are doing this, right? They got their macros and their micros and everything down that they need to get down so they know where they need to be in order to lose weight or to build muscle or whatever the case may be, And what you're saying with this stuff here, like this, it's a routine. It is a lifestyle change, right? When you start using your botanicals and you start actually eating your vegetables and going to farmers markets and finding what they're growing and how they're doing, because one of the things my wife's talking about, the way our country's going, she said, here before too long, you're gonna have to be bartering. You're gonna want to make sure you get those farmers so you can barter with. I got this. What do you got? What can we barter with, right? Because those farmers are growing the stuff. They're growing the fruits and the vegetables and stuff like that. And it's like you said, it is a lifestyle change, right? It is a way of life that you have got to incorporate, right? Because, like I said earlier, it's not if you catch cancer; it's when you catch cancer.
Yeah.
You're not doing everything in your power to ensure that you're having nutritious meals, making sure you're getting your vitamins, you're getting some kind of exercise. I don't care if you're working out in the garden or you're riding a bike or you're walking around the neighborhood or what, just as long as you're exercising, you're getting up and you're exercising, right? You've got to keep that heart pumping, the muscles moving, and just get up and get out, right? And so it seriously is. It's a lifestyle. Even when you start using cannabis, it's a lifestyle change, right? It truly is, because a lot of people are going to look at you and be like, why are you using that, right? Because it's medicine. I don't ask you why you're taking Zoloft for bed. Do you, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, with those kind of different things, I mean, you're a doctor, so you're treating people, right? You are providing, you're letting them know about cannabis and you're educating them, right? They're coming in asking about it. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing patients that are, it's funny because obviously I have patients that are still in the traditional mindset, and I have some patients that would never touch another pill and are very much, into the cannabis and more holistic space. And then there's this little group in between that I'm saying, I will say, you sure you don't want cannabis? Because I really think this is it. I think this will, and and that apprehensive group who they think about it, but they're afraid of it. And, that's where the real education is, that group in the middle, because, if you're too far one way or the other, it's guiding them, but the real education is for the group in the middle that probably needs it the most, but are the most guarded and most affected by the stigma. And that's where the work is. Yeah.
No, absolutely, absolutely, right, and that's one of the biggest things, right? I mean, with what you're doing, are you helping treat pediatrics as well?
Yeah, I have a number of kids with our state. Most of the kids that I'm seeing are seizures, but I have teens that I'm dealing with some PTSD or form of it. I have also kids that have had some sort of disabilities that have led to high pain issues.
Right.
But the majority of the kids I see have some form of seizure disorder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the parents have taken lightly to cannabis and CBD.
Yeah. And the results are amazing. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I have some kids that have really, really bad anxiety.
Yeah.
And they did not do well on all the antidepressants and other meds.
No, yeah.
Finally, the family was like, we need to just go ahead and do this. So, we try to hold off on THC as long as we can.
As long as you can, right?
Yeah. But then sometimes you weigh the pros and cons and it doesn't add up. So you need to do what's right for the kid.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've seen patients with the ODD, ADHD, and stuff like that, and we get them on a good CBD strain, a good CBD tincture, and they're like, dude, it's like night and day. Like they have completely, and that's just one of the things. That's like the audience listening in, you guys. It's one of the things that you just have to. You have to take a chance with it, right? I mean, like I tell you guys, when you go to the VA and you get on a new medication, the doctor's just taking a chance. He's like, this is what I think the best. I think this is the best one that could help you right now. From what you're telling me, I think this is the best one that would help you right now, right? I don't know, doctor. I don't know. Maybe I'm a liar or whatever, but I mean, the patient tells you, and you're like, all right, let me think. You're telling me this, and this. I think this pill might help. Let's try this pill and see how it helps, right? And so
I would say that there's a little bit of what we think might work best, but at the end of the day, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, we're really looking at heavy research numbers, right? So we're looking at high volumes of research that say if you have symptoms X, Y, and Z, this should work for you. And the amount of side effects that you should experience are on this level based on, the population studies.
Right.
Difference is when you're using cannabis, we don't have high volume studies for Blue Dream.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I can't. So a lot of it is
it's all trial and error, right? It's like a trial.
There's a little bit more trial and error, and because it's coming from more natural, how people respond to it might vary. Not that you still get variability without a doubt from pharmaceuticals, right? But I think you can get a little bit more variability from cannabis simply because we don't have the numbers to support it, right? And because it's more natural, sometimes you're just getting a totally different experience per person. Right. The benefits in medicine is that though I look at research, I have thousands of patients' stories that guide me in utilizing what medications as well, besides the research. And I also have what they've experienced and how they've experienced it. And so I also have that same information about those conditions when I start to apply cannabis to their conditions. So one way to gain more knowledge is that we started doing free follow-ups.
Oh, wow.
Because I want you to come back so I understand how it worked for you. Right. And it's very easy for someone to come in and see me and get a card, but then they go to their niece and their nephew and the guy next door to get more guidance, right? But the more that I interact and have conversations with my patients, I start to build a database of how did that work for you?
Right.
right?
No, right.
With experience.
No, absolutely. That's what it's about, right? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Buckley out of Hellman Valley Grow Company out of San Diego, right? I'm sure you do if you know Tony. But that's what he's doing right now, man. That's what I tell people. I say he's doing his multi-million-dollar research project on cannabis, and he said, no, he said, my goal by the end of this is to have strain specific what you're dealing with. You can't sleep, smoke this. You have an anxiety, smoke this. Depression, smoke this. PTS, smoke this, right? Like you're saying, there's not enough research per strain, right? And then not even if you did have the research on the strain, who grew it? What type
Who
of
grew it?
Who
I
grew
tell
it?
people all the time, Northern Lights that's grown in the mountains of California is not the same Northern Lights in a hothouse in Ohio.
Right.
That you are not going to get the cannabinoids exactly the same. You're not going to get the terpenes 100% will not be the same.
Right.
How that plant is grown, whether you were singing to it or whether, you gave it a nightlight, like it makes a difference.
It does. It does.
So we can have a generalized idea when we're dealing with the plant, but it's never going to be exact because who grew it?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one of the biggest things. That's why I tell my audience is that if you're blessed enough to go to a dispensary, ask for the lab reports. Let me see the lab reports. I want to see what's on this report. I want to see what type of terpenes are in this. I want to see what kind of cannabinoids are in this. I need to know the THC levels. I need to know if there's any kind of pesticides or anything that were used in this, right? So the lab report is supposed to tell you, right? Here in Oklahoma, our lab reports will tell you, but I had Ryan Early from Blue Green Venture not too long ago, and he was like, dude, he said, whatever you pay these guys, they'll put on that damn lab report. I said, are you kidding me? He said, there's no regulation on it. I said, are you kidding me? He said, you give them a little bit more, they'll say, oh, this is 40% THC versus 15% THC. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
In my dreams, I like to think that's not happening as much, but it is total fantasy.
Yes. It sucks, right? Because, like they said, it's still federally illegal. So there is no regulation on how it works, right? It's a free market, right? You can get into it and it's a free market. How do you do this? Nobody's going to tell you you're doing it wrong, right? Because there's no regulation on it, right? And this is one of the main things that has to be worked on, right? In regards to federal legalization. I know right now the Senate is still working on it. I'm hoping they can get it in here soon before too long, but the way the Senate works, guys, I'm hoping by the end of the year something happens, but it will allow for more research in America in regards to cannabis, right? Because it will no longer be a Schedule I drug. It will no longer be a Schedule I drug, and there'll actually be more people who can actually research it more here in America once they decriminalize it, once they get it out of that category, right? And this is one of the things that need to be done, right? Because we guys, not just me, not just Dr. Williams, there's thousands of us advocating for this plant, right? How it's helped so many people that we've met, that we've been introduced to, that we've met, that we've treated with this amazing plant. There's been so many people, and their stories need to be shared. So those of you that are listening in, they're like, man, should I try this or should I not try this? You guys can listen and be like, look, let me tell you how this changed my life. Let me tell you how this helped me, right? Because a lot of people are still stuck. They're going to be stuck on that stigma. Because I was like, even if the federal government legalizes it, they've already ruined the stigma on it. And people are still going to be like, that's bad for you. Why? The government says it's okay now. The government said it's okay for you to consume it now. 38 out of 50 states have already said you can consume it now. It's okay for you to consume it now. Why do you still think it's a bad product, And so this is just one of the things, is just so people have an understanding, right? This is why I love bringing my guests on, right? That are as just amazing, that just love how this plant has changed lives. Like, you, Dr. Williams, you said you've seen it. You said you've seen it change
Absolutely.
lives.
Yeah. Right? That's really why I wrote the book, Courage in Cannabis. And so it's it's our first book. We're actually working on our second now, and it's a collection of 18 stories about how cannabis and CBD has changed lives. So it's available on Amazon and wherever you find your chosen book. Go to small bookstores, support small bookstores, ask for it. But it's called Courage in Cannabis, and it's doctors and lawyers and patients and caregivers and moms that struggled with cannabis for their children and people that question their faith and, everything in between. And there's a way to contact every single last one of these people directly if that story spoke to you. And the new book, we're going to focus a little bit more on the legacy market, on veterans, on more the conditions, nursing, and just to there's so many stories out there about how cannabis has changed lives. And our forward for the book will be Adam Wilkes, who's the CEO of Tyson 2.0, Mike Tyson's cannabis company.
Oh, wow.
And he has an amazing, amazing story himself, which I'm very excited for.
So sorry to talk to you. See, we get Mike Tyson on this show. Talk a little bit.
I know,
about
right? Yeah.
I've seen his hot box show. I was like, this guy's just crazy.
Absolutely. So if anyone's interested in sharing their story and being a part of the book or sponsoring people that are involved in the book, definitely reach out because it's going to be a great one.
Absolutely, guys. And like I said, I'll have all that. I'll get all that information. It'll be in the description. However you guys listen to this video, however you're listening to it, however you're watching it, it'll be in the description box, and you'll be able to reach out and contact and just be able to share your story, right? Because I've had a lot of people on my show that said cannabis has helped save my son's life. It's saved my daughter's life. It saved my life. And it's like it's just I think it's. My community full of veterans, it's relatable, right? When they see another brother or sister said, I used it and it saved my life, dude. Like it got me off the pharmaceuticals. It got me off of alcohol. It saved my marriage. It saved my relationships. I'm more emotionally available. I can emotionally connect, And so, but we're getting close to the end of the show, Doctor. How do you want to leave everybody?
Definitely. You can always reach out to me. Email me directly, Dr. Bridget at greenharvest.health is the best way to reach out to me. Our website is greenharvest.health as well. So instead of a .com, it's .health. And find me on social media. I do TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and it's at Dr. Bridget MD.
Awesome. Like I said, guys, I'll have all that information in the description so you can be able to reach out to her. Maybe you can share your story with her. Maybe you should be able. Maybe she can put it in a book. Put your story in a book. A lot of people are doing that nowadays. Are getting stories and putting them in books. So it's not lost. It's not left just with you. That more people will be able to read it.
Benefit from it.
They can benefit from it. They can be like, wow, it helped them, and they were dealing with the same stuff I was dealing with, right? And a lot of you war veterans, I know you guys. I mean, you got Gunnery Sergeant Esterly over there with Born in a Bar. He's collecting war stories, military stories, right? Why? Because he's like, these stories don't need to die with us. They need to be shared with our community, right? And then you got Alexis Cassidy. She's writing a book as well, and she's gathering stories. She just had Stuart Scheller to drop the story in her book as well, which is the commander who got a lot of heckle for calling out the president in regards to the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'm telling you guys, like, there's a lot of people in my community that they want your stories, dude. Share your stories because it's gonna benefit somebody. Somebody's gonna read it and be like, wow, I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that, man. Dr. Williams, I really appreciate this wonderful opportunity to be able to come out on the show on a Friday, to be able to hang out with me and enjoy the end of the week, right? So that my community has some insight as to why is SRNG always talking about this damn plant? Why is he always saying this plant is so amazing? You won't know it until you try it. Honestly.
Don't know it until you try it. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Like I tell you guys, man, go check out my sponsor, Rafa 180. Like I said, providing you all the best medicinal grade CBD. That's right. I said medicinal grade CBD. It's not that crap you'll find at a gas station. Medicinal grade CBD. It's 100% THC free. You want to pick up some of the swag? I got some shirts. I got some cups. You guys aren't buying anything. Ginger and David over Really Designs tell me nobody's buying anything. So get over there and get some swag, man. I'm about to put hoodies up with these with these pictures on it. Let me know if you're interested in it. And you'll see it all over at the website. That's Romeo Alpha Papa Hotel Alpha180.com. In the top, you'll see a tab that says the Stone Vet. Click on that tab. It's going to take you to a whole different store, and you can buy some of this swag for you. Holidays are coming up. It'd be a great freaking Christmas present, I'll tell you that much. It'd be a great Veterans Day present, honestly, if you want to do it that way, man. Dr. Williams, I appreciate this wonderful opportunity. Again, guys, don't forget to go over there, Veteran Podcast Awards, and go vote for this #1 Marine Corps podcast in the entire world, man. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. Let me know, man. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you guys think about these guests and these episodes and stuff like that, man. Remember, guys, if you're going to smoke, smoke responsibly. do not use it the bad way. Smoke responsibly. Ensure you're using it for your medicinal purposes and why it's benefiting you, man. Remember, guys, here at the Stone Vet, we got you six.
For my enemies trying to do me some harm, I fight for your freedom of speech and your right to bear arms. When I say I got your six, that means I got your back. But what else would you expect coming from the Stone Vet? 1, 2, 3, 4 for my country, I go hardcore.